Today we're going to be talking about the color wheel in today's Drawing for Adults class, brought to you by the Ann Arbor District Library and the Ann Arbor Art Center. So I am going to first start by drawing a circle, and we're going to start with just labeling our color wheel. So we want to label it first with our primary colors, which are red, yellow, and blue. And those are going to be situated pretty evenly on our circle. So you want to try to keep them pretty much, evenly spaced apart. And primary colors are the colors that you can't mix. So if you are painting something that you need those colors. And then when you mix two primary colors together, you get secondary colors. So those are orange, green, and violet. The next set of colors are the tertiary colors. So the tertiary colors are colors that you get when you mix one primary color and one secondary color that are side by side to each other on the color wheel. For example, if I mix red and orange, I get red-orange. And traditionally, we just always list that primary color first. So we don't call it orange-red, we call it red-orange. So what we have to remember with the color wheel is that this is a full spectrum, 360 degrees here of color. So that doesn't mean that each little dot on the color wheel where I have labeled a color, that doesn't mean that that is the only spot that is red-orange, for example, or the only spot that is red. So, where does red become red-orange? Well, everyone sees color a little differently, but once it starts having a little more yellow in it, then we would consider that to be red-orange. With color, we want to also recognize something called color temperature. Color temperature is when we talk about warm versus cool colors. That line is drawn at the red, violet, and yellow, green. And again, because it's a spectrum, when you're like, what does that make red, violet, or yellow, green? Well, again, it's a spectrum. So if it's yellow, green, and it's a little bit has more yellow in it, then it would be considered a warm color. But if it's yellow, green, and it has a little bit more blue, a little bit more green, therefore, in it, then we would consider it to be a cool color. So let's move into discussing color schemes. I just want to address a couple of them. One of them is called complementary colors. Complementary colors are colors that are directly across from the color wheel. It doesn't matter if you start with a primary, secondary, or tertiary color. Those are all complementary colors. Okay? Those are colors that are going to have the highest level of contrast. Now, we also have something called a split complement. Split complement is when we have a color and we go directly across from the color on the color wheel. So for example, for blue, we would go to orange, but instead of using orange as our little color buddy, we instead choose the colors on either side of orange. So in this case, it would be red, orange, and yellow, orange. So this gives us a similar level of that high contrast for color as we would get with a regular complementary color scheme, but it gives us 3 colors to choose from instead of 2 when we are using those colors in our artwork. The next color scheme I'd like to address is called a color triad or triadic colors. So these are going to be 3 colors that are evenly spaced out on the color wheel. An easy way to do this is to simply choose a color, skip the next 3, choose the next color, skip the next 3, choose that color, and that is a color triad. Again, that can be any set of colors. You'll notice that the primary colors are considered to be a color triad, as well as our secondary colors. Now, sometimes when using these colors straight, full saturation, they can look a little bit, not always the most aesthetically pleasing color combination in a lot of ways. I think this is a great opportunity to use those 3 colors, but then to use tints and shades of those colors. Now, a tint is when you make a color lighter by adding white, and a shade is when you make a color darker. That could be by adding black, but you can also add the color's complement to the color to make it darker as well. Now, analogous colors, that is a color scheme where you choose 3 colors that are side by side to each other on the color wheel. Again, it doesn't matter which one is in the middle, which one you start with, which one's at the end, it's any 3 colors. And these go together. These are a nice color scheme because they simply are similar, right? They all have some kind of overlapping color that connects the 3 colors. So these are often found in nature. They just go together because they are similar. So in this example I have highlighted here, we have red, red, orange, and orange. So these are just colors that it looks nice to use them together because they simply are kind of similar. So I hope this has been helpful for you in getting a little bit more of a deeper understanding about color and color theory and the color wheel. So I hope that you will take this opportunity to practice color mixing if you've got some paints at home or pastels or something, where you take those primary colors and you practice mixing the secondary and tertiary colors.